Hey, happy Friday, Velixo users. There's a question that I often receive from users of our solution. They build a report with dynamic data, let's say a generic inquiry, and they want to have formulas that will dynamically expand or shrink based on the data set. So that's a good example. I have two columns here, days past and aging bucket. And as you can see, this is a formula in this case that subtracts the date in B5 with the date of the AP document. So right now, if I change to December, you'll see that I have a few lines that appear, but this function doesn't copy down. So I would have to do it manually. And the same thing happens if I change to January and press enter. I have two functions here. Notice this one is completely wrong. It shows me 44,000 days. For sure, you could modify this and add an if statement. So if the date is empty, then show empty, and if not, but that's not super convenient, and it makes your formulas just a lot more complicated. Starting with Office 365, there's something new called dynamic array functions. And as part of dynamic array functions, you have the ability to reference an entire dynamic array in any formula. So let me just show you one very basic example. Let's say I want to reference this entire table here. This is the Velixo GI function that is in A10. I can just go anywhere and type equal A10 and then just put hash or pound at the end. And notice that it highlights the entire table. If I press enter, that will give me a copy of the entire table. But in our case, we're only looking for one column. So we can do something pretty neat. We can use the index function. We can reference the entire GI again, and then just ask for, let's say, column 3, enter, and that will give us the date. Okay, right now it's not formatted. This is normal. As usual with the GIs, you need to select date, but you can see that I have the entire result of just that date table. So what can you do with this? Let's go to the days past column. And instead of doing B5 minus C10, I will change this to index A10, column 3, and press enter. Oh, okay, this is not what I was expecting. I see that there's an error. This error is actually normal. Spill means that the results of this function will or would spill over other data that you have in the spreadsheet. So this is some sort of protection to ensure that the function that you just entered will not overwrite any important data. In our case, we know that this is actually correct, so I will be able to erase that. But in case you're not exactly sure what the function is trying to override, you can just click on it and notice the dotted borders here around the column. So this is the area that this formula is trying to fill right now. So let's just clear that and remove. So actually something looks strange. So it's minus index A10 1 2 3. That should actually be okay. Days past. Oh, it's a date, that's why. So let's just change that to number here, or use the format painter to copy. Okay, that looks much better now. We can do the same thing with the aging bucket column. So right now it does an XLOOKUP of column J. By the way, XLOOKUP is an amazing new function in Excel 365. Check it out if you are using VLOOKUPs and HLOOKUPs today. So XLOOKUP J10, and this formula is copied down everywhere. So what we can do instead is just use J10 hash or pound. So J10 is our new dynamic array column. Press enter. And now you can see the same thing. My formula expands and it shows the results for every single line in the GI. Let's try changing the date or the financial period. So January, 28 lines, and now we have nothing here. And let's try December. It also expands. And as I explained earlier, if you have anything here in a column, that would get overwritten when you run refresh the report or run it for a different period. You'll see the spill error, and for the spill error it's very simple. You just click on the cell, it shows you the entire area, so this way you know what needs to be cleared, and as soon as you press enter, it will display and update your spreadsheet. This syntax with the hash symbol can also be used on the other Velixo formulas. At this point, it's something that you can only do with the insider build of Velixo, but this will be coming out in the next major release for every single user. Let me just show you a quick example. Let's say you want to build a trial balance. You can use the insert chart of account function, then use account name with just the first cell with pound, enter, and then the same thing with the balance. So let's just hard code the ledger and the period. But as you can see, it's a very quick and convenient way to build a fully dynamic report that will update based on the number of rows that you have. Okay, so one last example, expand, or actually accounts and sub-accounts with history. That's another dynamic array formula in Velixo. If you want something that is completely dynamic, you can also use this syntax for all your additional columns. I hope you enjoyed. If you like this content, make sure to follow us on LinkedIn and on YouTube as well. Have a great weekend.